Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, everyone. This is Mr. Middlepath. Inshallah, everyone can hear me. But I want to talk about the Red Pill movement, and this has been a very difficult concept for me to talk about because there's just so much for me to cover in this analysis. But I'm going to try and keep it brief. I'm going to try and keep it a bit informal, and let's get into it, inshallah. So, first of all, where did the Red Pill movement come from? Basically, guys and girls, this originated from the pickup artist movement. Now, for those of you who disagree with me, just stick around. So the pickup artist movement started a long time ago, by the way, but it really started getting on the internet in the 1990s, right? Where you had people writing their books on this, people putting up forums on this, basically sharing techniques and tactics and so forth on how to pick up women. And at the heart of it was the use of evolutionary psychology to try and explain how women are. And basically the theory was that seduction and talking to women was a science that could be gamed, right? Hence the title of the book, The Game, by Neil Strauss. You had The Mystery Method by Mystery, and all of these guys that came in the 2000s. In the early 2000s was when the pickup artist movement started to become not mainstream, but close to it. It became known by the mainstream, right? And people would look it up for tactics and help in their own life, right? And around that time, later on, was when the Red Pill movement started to grow. And where did the Red Pill movement came from? So basically, the pickup artist movement was how to get girls, right? How to talk to girls, how to game girls, and so forth. And when I say game, I use it in the way that they talk about it, right? I'm talking about how they believe what game is, right? So out of that, you had people that tried to run game but couldn't, right? And they were failing. And out of that, you have the incel movement, which is basically the black pill movement, which is that you are involuntary celibate. You're not you can't get girls not by choice but by your own nature, right? That's what they believe. It's hopeless, there's no point, I'm always gonna be a loser who can never get girls. So then you had the incel movement, right? You also had people that saw that they didn't like the system. It was like, oh, I don't like the fact that society's like this, I don't like the fact that women's nature is like this, so I'm gonna opt out of the game completely by choice. I don't want to be involved with girls, I don't want to get girls, I don't want to be married, and so forth. And that was the MGTOW, men go their own way. And then you had on a deeper level people saying, well, why is society like this on a fundamental level? Isn't it wrong that people can just have sex with any girl possible and there's no marriage and the marriage system is messed up and the dating statistics are like this, and who's to blame here and what do we do? And feminism obviously and liberalism was cast as the enemy, right? But that deeper philosophical discussion that happened on the forums is what the Red Pill movement is. So ultimately though, Red Pill, there's two things to know about Red Pill, right? One is that Red Pill doesn't work for everybody. What I mean is that it's a kuffar solution for kuffar problems. You have, these women in the West who are acting the way that they're acting, and people look at Red Pill as a solution because by and large they've thrown religion in the trash. They've thrown their religion in the trash, and they're kind of getting their just desserts for that. They don't have religion to guide them in what or who does what in marriage. So they're trying to refigure it out through the Red Pill movement. It's very problematic though if you give Red Pill or tell like a hardcore ethnic Arab to like do Red Pill, because they're already pretty hardcore when it comes to gender relations. I mean, people like us from our culture, if you're like Egyptian or if you're from just a general Arab country, your own moms are telling you from a young age how to get girls, or you need to get married, marry a submissive woman, don't let a woman ride you, don't let a woman take advantage of you. This is how you make sure a woman's not taking advantage of you, make sure she's cooking for you, make sure she's doing all these things. Our own mothers are telling us these things. So when we go into the marriage, a lot of us actually have to learn how to tone it down and be a little bit more merciful, understanding, and patient as the new wife learns the ropes. If you give an ethnic or a cultural Arab Red Pill, that's like a disaster, man. You can't do that. But does it work for certain societies? Only in as much as they threw their own religious guidance away. So they need something to kind of tell them basically how to handle their woman, right? And that's where Red Pill comes in. So it does offer a little bit of a solution, but there's also a huge problem in it too, because a lot of people who take the Red Pill go very extreme, and they end up losing a girl that they like because they were too rough, too harsh, taught to be the alpha, taught to be the boss, to an extent that it becomes almost extreme, exaggerated, and cartoonish. So let me give you an example. You have the idea of one-itis. One-itis is a term that was the pickup artist movement used long ago. It's part of the Red Pill vocabulary now, but it basically means you're in love with a woman, and that's always been, you're in love with a woman, you only want her. That is looked down upon, and this could be a good sense, in the sense that a guy who wants to get with the chick, or a girl, sorry, not to use that language, but a guy who wants to get with the woman that he likes, and she doesn't reciprocate, she doesn't like him, but he's head over heels for her and he keeps chasing her. So learning about one-itis is going to help him man up and move on, right? In that sense, one-itis can be a good thing. Learning about how one-itis is undesirable is a good thing. But learning about how one-itis is undesirable can also be a bad thing, in the sense that a guy is married, he loves his wife, he's cool with it, but now everyone in that community that he's part of is looking down on it. Yo, girl, yo, bro, you're supposed to have more than one girl, and so forth. Were there some famous pickup artists that got married? Yes, but by and large, it's looked down upon by the entire community. The goal of Red Pill, or the goal of pickup artist movement, is to have what's called a harem. A soft harem where the women don't know about each other, or like just a hardcore harem where they all know about each other and you're like chilling with your girls, right? That is kind of the goal, right? And that's also one of the reasons why they're jealous of Islam. They look up to Islam because they know that we have 4 wives, or we can have 4 wives, but they don't really understand it the way Muslims understand it. You know, like there's certain, like obviously for Muslims, if you have more than one wife, it's haram for the other wife to see the other wife, his private parts, but they think it's going to be like some giant like Middle Eastern orgy, or I don't know how they see it now. But the point, guys, is that the problem, the ultimate problem with Red Pill, is that even though it says some things that are true, it really forces a person to give up their humanity in exchange for their masculinity. So their idea of a masculine man is someone who lacks compassion, lacks humanity, and so forth. And I will attest to this with my hand, with my head and my heart, because I know about this movement on a very, deeper level. I read through the forums back before Red Pill was even called Red Pill, back when it was the pickup artist movement. So, for example, Mystery, one of like the big legends in the pickup artist movement, and it's kind of embarrassing now because in the past he was young and he looked like, yeah, he's a player now getting all the girls, but now he's still doing it and he looks old. He looks older. And it's like embarrassing. It's like, bro, you're old now. Like, just stop. And I understand now the hadith where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that one of the people he dislikes is Shaykhul Khunzani, an old man who commits zina and is into the zina lifestyle. It just looks, your fitra is just like, you're old now. Stop, man. Be a wise person now. Now's your time to you know what I got. You guys know what I'm trying to say, man. Sometimes it's hard to put it in words, but it's just kind of embarrassing. As part of the research of this video, I was like, let me check out what Mystery and some of these guys are up to now. And man, they're still doing it, and it's like, just doesn't look right anymore, But anyways, back in his old videos, and this was before people started using hypergamy studies to prove pickup artist movements, claims, and theories. But Mystery was talking about how if you were dropped in an island with 50 other people, would you become the leader of that new tribe of 50 people? And he said, if you are going to be the leader, or if you are going to be a friend of the leader or the leader's inner circle, then you're the kind of guy who's going to get the girls, right? And if not, then you're not the kind of guy who's going to get the girls, and it's upon you to change yourself. These are words that uplift a lot of dudes. They're like, yeah, I'm trying to become the leader, trying to become like the alpha male. And that's where the concept of alpha male, beta male came from. And also his way of explaining this is the explanation of hypergamy, right? But it wasn't called hypergamy at the time. They started using that as the phrase later on, right? Later on, as people got into a deeper explanation, and psychologists like Jordan Peterson came along, his talks and his studies were like added into the Red Pill lingo and movement, right? So if I remember correctly, not everything that the pickup artist theorized or found out was given like a scientific explanation or a scientific study for. But later on, they did add scientific studies to prove what the pickup artists were saying. Hope that makes sense. So ultimately, some of it is true, like in the sense that if you're a dude, of course a girl's not going to want to marry a loser. You better not be a loser. But it's taken to an extreme, because it's almost like, as a winner, you can never show weakness, you can never show compassion, you can never show mercy. These are loser traits. Why? Because they're looking at it from an evolutionary psychology point of view. So the ape, who's the king of his ape group in the jungle, is not going to be compassionate as merciful. He's going to be dominant, and he's going to assert his authority. Same thing with the lion in the jungle. Same thing with the wolf pack. The alpha male wolf is not going to show compassion or such forth. And I don't necessarily believe that's true. I think animals are capable of jealousy, anger, compassion, all of these things. So we see the Surah An-Naml, the animals can talk, and even animals are capable of lying. Sulaiman, peace be upon him, says, "Where is the hudhud?" And he says, if the hudhud is lying, I'm going to punish the hudhud. So animals are capable of being tricky and lying. All of these different emotions. Anyways, so they see it as, okay, if you're showing compassion, that's not an alpha trait. So then they put themselves in a loop where they're showing alpha, quote unquote, alpha characteristics to show themselves as high value to a woman. A woman might be attracted to that at first, but then finds that, like, yo, this guy is lacking substance. I can't actually have a deep connection with him because he's just so he's so stuck on proving and showing and always being the boss, right? And then they end up leaving, right? So that guy is just stuck in a perpetual loop. Yeah, he might be sleeping with women, but he's unfulfilled. And a lot of people who stay in the red pill movement or stay in the pickup artist movement, this is a thing that's talked about. I invite people to read the works of Mark Manson. Mark Manson is one of the legendary pickup artists who left the pickup artist movement and critiqued it for some of its problems. And what it does psychologically to a guy is that it puts him in that loop and he's unfulfilled sooner or later, right? And basically telling them, yeah, some of the things in red pill, some of the things in the pickup artist movement are true, but you guys need to tone it down and start being more human and start showing more a wider range of human emotions. And even the red pill movement itself, in a certain way, tacitly agrees with this. They don't say, yeah, we're wrong, but they've admitted that they're wrong. How? Because alpha beta used to be the way of explaining human behavior, but now it's become normal in the red pill movement to add a new term, omega male, delta male. You even have sigma male, right? So just the fact that they added those letters is a silent admission of their error, of the fact that yes, they're too binary, they're too black and white with how they view human nature. So I think last point is for Muslims, for those Muslims who telling those Muslims who got affected by red pill, oh, just stick to Quran and Sunnah. I think you need to be a little bit more merciful and understanding. If just stick to Quran and Sunnah was all that someone could say, no one would go to a scholar for marital counseling when they had problems with their husband or wife. But we know that we need to know how to stick to Quran and Sunnah. We need to know, okay, well, what hadith do I apply to my situation? What Quran verse do I need to apply to my situation? What do I do? We need guidance. And in the past, we had books written by scholars on how to seduce your wife, how to charm your wife, how to have better sex, how to last longer in bed. I remember one of my sheikhs actually gave me the title of one of these books, and I read some of it, not all of it. Very interesting book, but it's written in classical Arabic, and it's very hard for someone who doesn't know classical Arabic to access it and understand what is going on and what is being said. So in the past, we had these scholars giving this advice, and now we really don't have access to this type of information. So when a Muslim wants to know, okay, well, I proposed to a girl and she said give me some time to think about it, and she hasn't got back to me, it's been 2 weeks, so what do I do now? And he looks up what he should do online, or he talks to people, what he's gonna come to are red pill advices, right? He's gonna come to red pill advice. That's what they're gonna tell him. That's what he's going to find. He's not going to come across a Muslim scholar's advice giving him advice on what to do with this girl and how he should propose or how he should talk to the father. Does that make sense? So for better or for worse, it's the Red Pill movement and the pickup artist movement that have a monopoly on all of this. They're the ones that have a monopoly on this type of advice for how a guy should talk to a girl, how he should treat a girl, what he should do if a girl is refusing to listen to him, and so forth. So if we want to ultimately push this movement to the side, we're going to need qualified Muslims to give advice from the Islamic paradigm about how a guy and a girl should treat each other on a deeper level, because it's a skill, right? Marriage and being good to your wife and being good to your spouse and talking to the opposite gender is a skill to a certain degree. And if someone doesn't know that skill, well, he has to learn it from somewhere, right? Either his parents are going to teach him, his community is going to teach him, or he's going to learn it online. And there's really no scholars that go into this in depth, just these non-Muslim movements. So that's what he's going to come across, right? Hope that makes sense. Inshallah, we can find solutions as a community. And everyone, take care. Peace out. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.